Where's the editing tutorial?
How do you edit?
Bro, are you using Adobe to edit your
How do you
videos?
edit so good?
Editing style is crazy.
Where do you edit videos?
How do you edit your videos? Take a tutorial video on this.
Tutorial.
Yep, this is the editing tutorial. But why the hell did it take 9 months to make it? Well, it all started 1 year ago. An editing tutorial? From me? Really?
Why not? Have you ever checked your views? People love your videos, man.
Look, I know a thing or two about editing, but making a tutorial, there are freaking editing wizards out there making stuff I can't even imagine. I mean, look at this guy. How the hell does he do that? The best I can do is how to edit slightly above average tutorial.
And isn't that the point? You don't need to be an editing wizard. You just need to be you. Someone who's been through the journey.
What do you mean?
Remember your early days, man. You knew nothing about editing. I've been there.
Wait, you were there?
I mean, for the most part.
Oh.
Everything you know, you learned the hard way. Wouldn't you want someone to guide you through that path back then?
Yeah.
Just keep it real. Show the way for past Isaac. How you edit your videos from start until the end. The stuff you learned along the way. And hey, who knows, maybe I'll send it back to him.
Alright.
That's my man.
But if I'm doing this, I'm making the best editing tutorial YouTube has ever seen. Yeah, I know, you've probably heard this a million times and rolling your eyes, but different audiences want different editing. You can't use a Mr. Beast style editing in a Ruhi video. It just doesn't feel right. Now, every editing tutorial is saying this exact same thing, but the problem is, all of them proceed to explain both editing styles in theory and never actually give you practical advice. You know why? Because they don't want to lose the other side of their viewers. It's all about keeping the retention high. I know, it's not a wise choice for retention, but I don't want to be one of them. I want to actually teach you something. So instead of juggling two different editing styles and giving random tips from each one, let's pick the one that I'm better at, which is fancy editing. The editing like this, and this, and this. I want you to walk away from this tutorial actually knowing how to edit, not watching another video that explains the same theory for the 100th time. You wouldn't want to sit down to edit and realize halfway through that your script isn't good enough. Or even worse, the video idea doesn't make sense. If you want to edit viral videos, everything else should be made with that in mind as well. An amazing edit can't save a boring script or a bad video idea. So let's quickly fix these at first. Think about your target audience. Is the idea interesting for them? Would someone click on this video if they didn't know you? I already covered it in another video. For the script, start by outlining all the points you want to cover in the video and write everything that's on your mind. Most YouTubers stop here, but after writing everything, I always come up with a secondary story, something deeper, almost like a short film that runs alongside the main video. After that, create a structure. Cut out useless parts. Ask ChatGPT to make it easier to understand, and build some kind of progress from the start until the end of your video. We're gonna dive a lot deeper into scripting in a future video, so I'll not waste much time on that here. Just record your voice on a microphone, or like me, use an AI voice generator like 11 Labs. Create a voice and paste everything in your script, but little into the middle. Some people still think that AI voices are too robotic, but trust me, it has improved a lot. I mean, I can get random emotions like Sue. See? You can check out 11 Labs with the link in description. It's not sponsored, by the way. I just get a small commission if you use my link, and it's a great tool. Sue. Sorry. Okay, let's move on. Here's the thing about filming. I have absolutely no clue. I get all my footage from the internet, so yeah. Look at other YouTubers' videos, but even better, watch a good movie before editing. Just a heads up, don't watch 5 seasons of Breaking Bad just to get inspired for one video. Don't ask me how I know. With all the rise of short-form content, some people haven't even sat and watched a 2-hour-long movie in years. But if you find any type of movie that you like and watch it with your editor's eye, you'll get so much inspiration that you can't even make that much video. Transitions, storytelling, montages, cool camera angles, you name it. Most of this stuff hasn't even been implemented once on YouTube yet. So you want originality? This is where you get them. Even though it's not going to be as good as a masterpiece like Morbius, you're making your own movies here. Once these are ready, move on to the next step. When I say assets, I'm talking about music, sound effects, overlays, and presets. It takes hundreds of trial and error to find the right ones. But if you don't have time for that, I put together all the assets I use to edit my videos. Here's where I get them from. Now, this part may seem a bit unnecessary, but it made everything way faster for me in the actual editing. Take your script and color code what's happening in each sentence. I like to divide it into 6 categories, but you can adjust this based on your style. Once you're done with the entire script, collect all the elements you need for each part. I marked this part as a screen record, so now I'll gather all the screen recordings for this section. The same process for images, videos, and everything else. And for the animations, just keep it there. I'm gonna explain it in a few minutes. After you went through the entire script and got everything you need, you're ready to move on to... Alright, finally, it's time to open Premiere Pro. Click Create a new project, create again, and add a new sequence. I like to make my videos in 1920 by 1080, which is high enough so no one's counting pixels, and low enough to not burn my computer, though you can use 4K if you got a beast in your house. Oh, and 60 FPS. Create your workplace by dragging windows around, however you're comfortable with. Personally, I like this layout with the main video in the center, timeline at the bottom, footage and effects here, effect controls and raw footage monitor here. If you're missing any windows, just enable them from the menu here. Next up, import your voiceover. Drag to the timeline, cut it based on the script, and remove any awkward pauses or moments where it drags the flow. Okay, this one might not fit for everyone's workflow, but I like adding the music right after the voiceover. I know, most editors save it for the end, but I think it gives more clarity on the vibe you're going for in the entire edit. Plus, it lets you make cuts based on the beat. And most importantly, it's more fun. So where to find good music? I used to grab no copyright music from YouTube for a long time, but lately I've been hooked on Epidemic Sound. It's just more convenient to find music and sound effects based on every detail, and you don't need to worry about copyright issues. One thing I didn't realize until editing this video is that you can copy and paste your favorite songs from Spotify and get similar music. I mean, what the hell? Why didn't anyone told me that? Once you've got your music, drop it to the timeline and adjust the volume based on the voiceover. Now comes the fun part. Remember the highlights on the script? Start layering in all your videos, images, and screen recordings based on the highlights. It's not necessary if you're new to editing, but it's a good idea to experiment with some cuts based on the music beats. It gives your edit that extra punch and keeps it flowing easier. Another little trick I like to use is just plain text on a black background, just like I'm doing right now. We're gonna dive into text in a minute, so leave it blank for now. Okay, looking good so far? But remember, you highlighted one more thing in your script. Animations. Alright, here's the truth. Animation is not as easy as it looks, especially if it's your first time. But don't worry, we'll break it down together. So in the script that you highlighted, let's take the first animation. I'm just gonna take a cool one from my previous video. In this video, I'll focus on the short form content, how you can get similar views as quickly as possible, and show you the exact method I use to make them go viral. Grab a pen and paper and imagine the animation. You're probably thinking of something that walks the viewer through the method step by step, right? Picture this. We'll have some boxes connected to each other by arrows, like a flowchart. Inside each box is a heading, but they're blurred out for now. Then we will zoom into the first box and boom, the text is revealed. That's a solid one. Let's create it. Now there are 2 ways to create the animations, easy way and hard way. Let's start with the first one. If your animation is too simple and not much fancy stuff is going on, you can create it in Canva. I made my first video's animations using only Canva. Just create the animation you sketched with shapes, text, and graphics. For our example, it might look something like this. Once you've got your design set, add some animations. And that's it. Keep in mind, if you want to add some zoom-ins to them in the edit, export the video in a higher quality. Or it may look like this. That works for simple animation, but if you want to edit like a pro, it's time to dive into After Effects. But here's your warning. This route gets much more complex than Canva, so it's okay to freak out if it's your first time using it. Every editor has been there. Honestly, I think I'm still freaking out each time I see it. Oh, shit. There's too much detail to explain here, so I'm gonna do a separate video for creating more complex animations in the future. But the idea is the same as Canva. Use tools like text, shapes, or pen to create the base of your animation. Once you have something similar to your sketch, adjust them based on the voiceover. Add typewriter animation to texts, and trim paths to move shapes. Lastly, add some glow effect to make them pop. At least that's what I do. It takes more time, but the result is next level. You can repeat the same process for all the other animations as well. Sketch, create, animate. Until I make the full animation tutorial. If you want to do some research yourself, I shared some keywords and tutorials from other creators that might help. And once all the animations are ready, drop them to the timeline as well. Line them up with your voiceover and we're one step closer to a polished final edit. By now, your timeline should be looking pretty solid, but here's the thing, the first rough cut is never perfect. So if you have time, go back and watch it again. Trust me, you'll spot points to improve. Add extra animations, screen recordings, some funny memes. Sometimes I even rewrite parts of the script if a better idea pops in my head. But it's not about just adding things. At some point, you'll need to cut off useless parts. Look out for boring lines in the script, unnecessary footage, or bad jokes. Cut everything that doesn't serve the video's main goal. And yeah, I only keep the good jokes. You wouldn't want to see the bad ones. Don't show it. So you added new stuff, removed useless stuff, but that's still not enough. There's one more thing you need. Space. I know. You always heard that people's attention span is shorter than a jellyfish, and if you want to make a viral video, you've got to keep up the pace. Get to the point as fast as possible and move on to the next, because if you slow down for too long, you're gonna be boring. So cut every single millisecond where something interesting isn't happening. Fry people's dopamine. Make them hate their life after watching your video. Give them a heart attack and maximize your retention. But here's the twist. Cutting every space may mean cutting the actual story from your video. So how do you balance it? The best way to summarize this point is, people don't have shorter attention spans. They just have higher standards. So make the stop worth waiting for. Alright, we're done with the boring parts. Now it's time to get our hands dirty. Before we dive in, just remember this. Good editing doesn't mean using as many effects as you can. It means using it to complement what's being said in the video. So you need to resist the urge to throw in every flashy thing you find in the Effects tab. Sometimes you need to zoom in and out to highlight something on the screen, or just to add a little movement to your video. To do that, use a transform effect. Add scale and position keyframes to the start, move forward in the timeline, and adjust where you want the zoom to end. Sure, it gets the job done, but it's not smooth at all. To make it flow better, expand the effect and make the curves smoother. Much better. Well, that's basic knowledge. To take it further, you need to keep the point of focus consistent in between cuts. This keeps the viewer's eyes from wandering all over the place and makes it easier to watch. To do that, use guides, center point, eyeline, but my favorite is the rule of thirds. The idea is that the main focus of each zoom and cut must stay at the same spot, like this. Text in videos is a subjective choice. Some people never use it, some use it all over the place. Personally, I use it in 3 places. Captions are the most obvious one, but I try not to slap them all over the video because it can become irritating to see a text pop every second throughout the entire time. So I use it where I talk about something important. Center text is for moments where captions aren't enough. It can have its own color, glow, or whatever makes it pop. And then there's text that becomes a part of the scene, attached to a screen, a wall, or something in the background. Now, how do you actually create these? It's simple. Click this text tool, click on the video, type something, and adjust its settings in the effect controls to match your channel's brand. To give it a pop animation like you see in my videos, we're going to use the ancient technique of Sensei Finzar. Take the transform effect, add it to the text, set a scale keyframe at the start around 70%. Then, move about 7 frames forward. Increase the scale to 110%. Move forward another 5 frames and bring it back to 100. I smooth out the keyframes, but there isn't a big difference. Also add glow, glitch, or whatever else fits your style. Repeat the same for other texts as well. Looking good. To save time in the future, select your text in animations. Right-click and save as a preset. Next time, you can just drag and drop that preset to a text box and you're done. Obviously, using a character isn't a must, so if you don't use it, just skip this part. But if you do, here's the process. Create a head or a logo with an AI image generator. I have a video diving deeper into this matter if you're interested. Once you got something you like, slap it onto a stock image, export the image, and add it to your video. Again, use keyframes to move it around. Smooth out the keyframes, same stuff. And, of course, create presets to use it next time. By the way, if you're looking to save time with some of these effects, I put together a few of my presets for free. Links in the description if you want to check them out. You've probably noticed those fancy electric effects, dust, light leaks, and other textures throughout the video. They're called overlays. Basically, a video with black background so that you can change the display mode to screen and make it transparent. You can use them as highlighters, transitions, or just to make your video fancier. I mostly use light leaks for transitions, but there are some preset packs for changing in between scenes, like slides, shakes, zooms, rotations, and things like that. I don't go too heavy on effects, but when I do, my go-to options are glow, 3D, transform, blur, mosaic, and things like that. At this point, I get it. You're probably overwhelmed by the things you have to learn to make a single video. That's normal. But here's the secret. You don't have to learn everything at once. Just pick one small thing from this tutorial and try it in your next video. Practice until you're decent at it. Then take another, then another, then another, and repeat. Nobody is chasing you. Now keep in mind, just because you can use an effect or a transition doesn't mean you should. Sometimes keeping things simple is more effective than using every single effect you can. But no matter how great your edit turns out, without proper sound effects underneath, the video will feel flat, and viewers will sense something's missing. There are three main types of sound effects: whoosh, riser, and impact. These are the basics, so don't limit yourself. Based on your video, you can throw in keyboard sounds, gears, memes, clicks, bomb clock, pretty much anything you can come up with. You can find all kinds of sound effects from YouTube and paid platforms like Epidemic Sound. I use a combination of both. Now, the technique I found that makes the process easier is just mute all the other audio tracks. Watch the video and add the sound effects you think would fit best. May sound obvious, but when I started, I was doing my sound designs with voiceover and music enabled. It wasn't good. And don't be afraid to experiment and combine different sound effects together. It may feel too time-consuming and unnecessary since you can't see anything visually changing in the video, but sound design is literally half of the video. So it's definitely worth investing time on that part. And finally, lower the volume of the sounds so that they don't become annoying. We're almost done, but the colors look a bit off. To fix that, add a Lumetri color effect on each clip and change the exposure, contrast, saturation, and things like that. Alright, so mastering the basics and improving in all those skills with every video is essential. But here's where a lot of channels fail. They don't try anything new. You know the channels where each video feels like the exact same copy of the last 10, and that's the recipe for failure. Now I have to admit something. I still don't know 90% of the stuff in editing, and neither does anyone else. But the key is, are you learning with every video? If you keep trying new things each time, and that gap between what you know and what you don't know will slowly get smaller. Sure, it will never go down to zero, but that's the point. Most people are stuck here forever. And even if you're here, you can overtake them just by learning with each video, because most people don't even try. Editing isn't just what you see in tutorials. There's so much out there you can improvise or learn from others. For every video I make, I try something new that I could not do until that point. For my first video, I didn't know how to make animations, so I tried making crappy animations with Canva. For the second one, I tried these electricity effects. Next, I used After Effects for the first time and tried creating an entire storyline. The list goes on for every single video. That's why these videos take so much time to create. Sometimes I spend 3 hours learning a new technique to use in a 5-second part of my video. Most editors just do what they already know to be more efficient. But if you invest 3 hours to learn that new effect, the next time that 3 hours will become 1 hour, then 30 minutes, 10 minutes, and just a few minutes. And once an impossible effect will become an ordinary thing. That's how I learned to edit better. Sounds cool, right? But sometimes, well, most of the times, things don't go as planned.
How's the masterpiece coming along?
Almost done. Just adding some final touches. You know, little details to make it perfect.
Dude, you said the same thing last week, and the week before?
Just a few more tweaks, okay? Trust me, it's gonna be the ultimate tutorial.
Alright, man. But remember, sometimes done is better than perfect.
You sound like an AI-generated motivational video.
Just don't get lost in details, okay?
Alright, don't worry about me. So I kept editing, applied everything I learned, even researched new techniques to take my video a step further. Every day, it felt like the video was getting better and better. But after a while, something started to feel wrong. What the f is going on? Almost 60 days had passed, and I was still editing the same video.
Wanna grab some drink?
It feels like I'm stuck in a loop that will never end. What should I do? Isn't there a tutorial for this?
I mean, you're the one that's making tutorials here.
Yeah.
You know, I've been watching you since the beginning of your journey. Do you know what your weakness is? You think that you can learn everything just by watching a tutorial about it, but there isn't a tutorial for this.
So, am I gonna stuck here?
Look, I'm not an editor, but let me tell you what I know. That's the thing about anything creative you do. It's never done. You can always improve it. Add a new effect, create a better animation, find better music, tell a better story. It's a cycle that never ends.
So, how do I escape?
Maybe you just need to say it's good enough.
It's good enough.
Take a deep breath. Then press publish.
Yeah, I still couldn't fully overcome my perfectionism. But I'm trying my best. Even if it's not flawless, it's still gonna help someone out there.
More than you know. Sometimes it's better to see the process, not only the right things, but the mistakes as well. That's what makes it. Dude, I didn't finish my motivational speech.
Don't worry, they get it.
All right.
I know, some of you were probably expecting some kind of secret technique that I used to make my edits stand out. While making this video, I thought about this a lot, but the truth is, such a technique doesn't exist. I can't fully explain how I edited those videos. The only technique was to keep learning new things each time. Combine different styles, draw inspirations, break the rules, and add something from you.